Welcome back, guys. I'm going to do a video today on the handguard accessories for the Desert Tech MDR. The rifle's been out for a while, and there are some interesting alternative handguards over the factory one that I wanted to bring to your attention. So, starting off, let's start with the factory polymer 9-inch handguard. And there are some pros and cons to this. One of those is going to be, it's very lightweight. It's actually pretty sturdy in terms of its construction. It is the lightest configuration available for this rifle if you just use this handguard. It works with pretty much all your brakes, all your suppressors. They go right on. There's no issue. If you decide to shoot without a suppressor like I have right here, there's no issue. I have struggled to try and find something else that I feel like works better, but for my purposes, the factory handguard seems to be the winner. Some of the benefits to this is, like I said, it's the lightest configuration available. It has a hand stop up front, and you can also thread a sling loop or whatever you would like through the front. So if you needed to put a sling attachment up here, you could do that and then mount it with the QD section here in the back. One of the cons to the polymer handguards, and it's going to be the same con for both of them, is that there is flex in the handguard left and right. It doesn't matter how much you tighten these handguards at the back, you can still get them to move. So if you're the kind of person who really likes to have backup iron sights or likes to run a laser of some kind, or IR laser or something like that, this may not be the best choice for you. But like I said before, this is from the factory. This is the lightest option available. The next handguard I'd like to talk to you about today is going to be Desert Tech's Reflex handguard, which is also polymer and is about 12 inches long. If you purchase, say, a 20-inch barreled MDR, or your plans are to run a 16-inch barrel gun with a suppressor, this will work great. The idea for this handguard is that you want to be able to have the suppressor be covered by the handguard. This is going to be fairly lightweight. This one comes in at 8.7 ounces. As far as the longer handguards, this is still the lightest of the available handguards on the MDR, if weight is something that is a concern of yours. And it fits up to suppressors that are about 1.7 inches in diameter, which my OSS is a little bit smaller than that. However, the downside for this is I cannot run my suppressor with its cover using this handguard, which is kind of a downside. But if you're not interested in running with a suppressor cover on your handguard, you can always just stick this on your gun and run the suppressor, a 16-inch with a suppressor, no problem. Or if you like, as I've done before, just running this with the 20-inch barrel, it looks pretty good. Some of the downsides for this are the same as the 9-inch polymer handguard. When I have this on the rifle, I can still move the handguard left and right. So again, downside if you're the kind of person who wants to put lasers or backup iron sights on this, I wouldn't recommend it. But I don't think that's what the purpose of this is for. The purpose of this handguard is lightweight, and then to be able to throw a suppressor on underneath it, or have a longer handguard for your 20-inch barrel. It ditches the ability to have a forward stop or an area where you can put a sling, so it gets rid of that. Also, if you're the kind of person who really likes the longer handguard but has the shorter rifle, you pretty much are stuck to shooting with a blast forwarding device, or you should probably shoot with your suppressor attached the whole time. But I imagine if you're getting this handguard, that is probably your main goal. The Lucky Irishman handguard, this is the short version. There was a longer version that was made for a while, but was discontinued, I guess, due to low sales. This is slightly longer than the 9-inch handguard, but just a little bit shorter than the reflex handguard, if you can see that here for a second. It's just about an inch shorter. It weighs 14 ounces. And before Desert Tech had added the cuts here that you see on this handguard, this was the only handguard that allowed full access to the adjustment knob. And if you're looking for a handguard, and don't mind it being a little bit wide, because you want to run your suppressor and its cover, this is actually a really good idea. And they can be on sale on the Lucky Irishman website for about $150. One of the other pros I find with this particular handguard is that the way that this mounting system is on the gun is you can just unbolt these 6 screws. There's 3 on each side. You can just slide this off over your handguard, over your suppressor if you had a suppressor that got stuck, and you could use your tools that way to make sure it comes off, and you weren't asking nicely. One of the cons I think for this is going to be its unique mounting system. And I'm not here to like bash Richard from Lucky Irishman. I still think it's great that he did that. But almost half the weight is in the mount. And if you're the kind of person who likes to change barrels frequently, this may not be the handguard for you, as it has a semi-permanent mounting solution. So you'd have to be willing to knock out the little, you have to use kind of like a mallet to make sure it goes through both sides. And then you can put your mounting brackets on here and then just slide your handguard on and screw these in. And that's my only con for this. And it's not really a con, it's just one of those things. If you're the kind of person who likes to change barrels out frequently, so you say you've got a 6.5 and you want to go to 5.56, this kind of makes it to where you're going to stick with one caliber or the other if you decide to go with this handguard with a suppressor. But with this handguard and a suppressor, I think this is fantastic. And it's got a ton of mounting surfaces should you want to put something on here. Last but not least is the Black Label handguard. The Black Label handguards. And I did have one. I had the Black Label Mantis, and so I'll talk about those first. The Mantis handguards come in 2 lengths. It comes with a built-in bipod, and it also comes in with a built-in sling swivel. This is something that all of the other handguards I've talked about previous to this, they don't do. So if you're the kind of person who likes to have everything on your Desert Tech, or just are the person who really likes to keep a bipod on your gun, but don't want to worry about the hassle of taking it on and off, I think that handguard is custom made for you. Some of the things to keep in mind: sometimes these handguards don't work with all muzzle devices. The other con I have for the Black Label handguard, at least the short one, because that's the one that I had, is it was very limited in the amount of space you had to mount things. And I had to get creative in terms of where I put my light, because the front slot on the MDR Black Label handguard, it required a very small M-LOK mount. And even then, if your light, in my case, if my light was mounted on the same side as the sling, which I don't imagine most people will do, there's no room to put anything on that. There's no room to put anything on that Picatinny rail. And that was kind of a problem that I had when I had that handguard. It was great when I took it to the range, though. Flat range shooting, it was fine. Just pop down the bipod legs and go to work. If you're the kind of person who got the longer Black Label Mantis handguard, say for the 20-inch barrel, you have a little bit longer of a bipod. I think that starts at 9 inches and goes to 13. But one of the things you got to be aware of when you get the Black Label Mantis handguards is you can't run a suppressor inside the, especially that longer one. You can't run a suppressor inside of the handguard because of the mounting solution they used for the bipods. It doesn't work that way. However, that's not the only handguard that Black Label came out with. They later came out with the ALX. And the nice thing is being able to put on the long or the short version of the ALX handguards is you can actually run a suppressor. If it's the kind of suppressor that they can run inside of a handguard, that handguard will work for you. The longer one also allows for I believe an outer diameter of 1.7, which still works for for most suppressors. Again, not with the rep. The aluminum version that is 9-inch weighs about an ounce-ish more than its polymer cousin, so 8.6 ounces. And the slightly longer one, the 12-inch variant, comparing that in weight to the polymer reflex, is about 3 ounces heavier. So this ALX in the same size is about 12 ounces. Looking at some of the pros for the ALX handguard, has a 1.7-inch internal diameter. All aluminum, just like the Mantis, minus the bipod. And I mentioned the diameter earlier. Like, you can run a suppressor if it's the kind that screws in back past the muzzle device. You can run a suppressor inside your handguard for both variants of the handguard. And it uses, just like the Mantis, it uses the same mounting pattern mounts that the factory Desert Tech handguards use. One of the things I wasn't a big fan of the ALX handguard was it ditches the QD mount for just some regular Picatinny rails, which some people will be like, man, I'll just go buy a QD mount for this and put it on there. But I thought it was kind of neat that they included it on the Mantis, and I imagine they probably caught a little flack. I mean, I mentioned earlier there's not a lot of mounting space on the Mantis, so it's one of those darned if you do, darned if you don't. But it was a feature that I liked on the Mantis.